Hello, Tafacles here again, and thank you for coming back for the second game of the evening. This is a bit of a successor bash. Antigonus's bunch against the Simarcos. And nice quick game, very interesting again, and here we go. Okay, so Roger was good enough to bring both the armies. I get to be Antigonus Monothalmus, which I think is One Eye, one of the famous generals for Alexander, who became a successor afterwards. For those who don't know, CP2 is the heavy cavalry, CP1 is the sort of really heavy cavalry, the knights and things like that. I've got some medium cavalry as well, which are only VBU 4, strength 4. One unit of light cavalry. Now it says there, Pesatori, they're the pikes, sorry, do those two units of those, which is formed as a large unit. I've also got Lycian spearmen shown here, but they actually get changed out. I'll just see in a second. One of the options, just about read that hopefully, was elephants. Had to get the elephant on the table. So I've got the rest you see there, a couple of units of peltas, some javelin men, and archers as skirmishes. So my army looks like that. It's great to see these again. These are ones I did for Roger a long time ago. So you get an idea of the army. I decided to pick an ace in the hole randomly again, rolled a 3 this time. It's got the desperate charge, allows the unit no longer fresh to charge with this impetus bonus, which might have been quite useful if I remembered to use it. And this historical battle, this is Lysimachos. You can go through the whole list there, and I think that's pretty much straight out the tin, although I might have gone for the second option. Anyway, you'll see that in a second. So there's the army that Roger will be using deployed. And the difference is he's got the heavy spearmen. I don't. Apart from that, and I've got the elephant instead. Apart from that, the two sides are fairly similar. Sorry about that background noise. That's the heater on. So I have to freeze and do this. So we've rolled for who was the attacker defender. I've rolled a high number. Let Roger deploy first. So you got ignore my pike block. That's just shouldn't be there really. The order: heavy infantry first, the slow stuff, then the medium stuff, then the fast stuff, the skirmishes, and the light cav go on last. Roger's elected to more or less refuse this open flank and use the wood where he's got his light infantry. And you've got the top right hand corner, you can see it, there's some light cavalry about to sweep round as well. By the way, Roger's let me know that he had iron discipline, which allows a unit to reorder and charge in the same turn, cannot fire. So that's another useful one, as we'll see. Okay, so this is after deployment now. That's all I've done. It's similar to the last game, as it turns out. I'm going to go for a big sweep round the left flank. The guys coming through the woods, I'm going to ignore them as much as I can. I've got one unit you can't see, which is the light cav, right off to the far right, which is there to be a nuisance. And I'm planning to put them outside those units advancing, so when they do, if they come for the light cav, they're taken away from the battle, and I hope I can win it over this side, where I should have a majority and a strength. I've also got one difference I should have mentioned. I've got the yellow cloaks cavalry are the heavies, and out on the left, as you can still see, are medium cavalry. It's got the 2-to-1 advantage on the cavalry, and the pike blocks just facing off against each other at the moment. I'm hoping my other infantry can come through. Even though they're lighter infantry, they're throwing javelins, and they can hopefully outmaneuver those heavy spears, work that flank, or the elephant and the pikes hold up the central units, and then hoping the units on the far left will win fairly quickly and swing round and crush into the centre. And I've just got to hope the right wing is, I just want to slow it down, keep it out of the game as long as possible, and try and win the game over here. So that's the strategy, that's my thinking. Okay, so for the first turn, I've won the roll. I've got Roger go first, just to see what he's going to do. Don't always want to go first. Now this surprised me because, in many ways, I can see that the thinking of not wanting to be outflanked, but this actually helps my situation, I think, because the problem I had before was my stuff right on the far left is going to have to swing all the way around to get into contact, whereas now the target's in front of them. So I'm thinking that suits me so far. But I still have the advantage here, and of course he's coming up through the woods, you can see on the right, and the light cav on the far right starting to sweep round. So I've just pushed up everything on this side. I've angled my pike block across a bit just to deal with those if they do come. Well, they will come through the wood. I can't see 2 units of skirmishers stopping them. So at least I've got something there. And see how long before his pike block starts coming up. So I'm hoping to isolate the pike block out of it and his light units in the wood and the light cav on the far side for just a few light units, and then have my advantage on the left to push up and through. So Roland Roger's clearly won that one. Yeah, so Roger got the higher roll here and put the green marker down on me to go first. And I didn't realise at the time how clever he's being here, because what he's going for, of course, is the double move. I do my move, he gets to move, and then if he gets lucky enough to go first in the following turn, then he gets effectively 2 moves for my 1 and gets to get all the jumps on me that he had lined up. Yeah, I missed that at the time. I just spotted it now as I'm going back, re-recording this square. I saw what he was doing. So I've moved, while taking the picture, I've just basically pushed up as fast as I can on the left, done very little on the right. And Roger's just checking the distance there to see if he can move and throw his javelins and maybe hit them. So Lysimachos has won the roll again, and this time elected to go first. So you can see the light cav came around, and I haven't quite got my light cav as wide as I would have liked them. I didn't want him to have a free run coming round my skirmishes and cause problems for my pike block. Although I think, and what I was worried about was they'd have enough room to evade without going off the table. So as you can see, the light infantry have come through the woods. I'm going to start throwing javelins at my poor skirmishers. As at this point I realised in these rules, skirmishers don't get to evade against shooting, which is quite a key feature in the old full impetus. So in a bit of trouble there. I think only one of the 2 units has got javelins, so you throw once. It's 4 dice, no penalty for moving, -1 against skirmishers, 3 dice, leading us 6. So that's looking so good for those guys. And you can see on the left, he's formed the defensive position. So he's basically refusing that flank, which I think makes perfect sense. And he's going to try and win on the other side. So we're kind of both turning each other from the left. There's a bit of a random photograph that my little 5-year-old took. He grabbed a camera, took a few pictures. I left a couple of things, I quite like them. Yeah, there's my pike block. Good view through at the battlefield. A bit scrawny on the scenery, so I've done something about that for the next battles. And I've had a couple of comments that you can't see the squares the way I've marked them on this playing mat. So I've made those more obvious as well. So a bit more dramatic next time. Hope you join me again when I put that one up. Not that I've fought it yet, but I'm hoping it'll look good. Okay, so here's the skirmishes coming off. The javelins are thrown and hit. You don't have 1. Everything above a 1's a casualty. They've only got 2 points to start with, so wherever I rolled, they'd gone. One more random photograph. Nice shot. Those light cavalry. I do like these figures. And a useful shot my son took was this shows the markers you get in the back of the rule book, which are very useful. So there's the 6 aces in the hole and his markers for casualties and disorders. So they are there in the book if you want to buy that. I'd highly recommend getting the rules. Like I said, I got the download and the printed version. I think they're both useful. Excellent. That's what happened when I took the camera off him. Not happy about it. I did have a spare camera and he took a load more pictures with that. But still, how could you say no, eh? So again, I'd like to explain my yellow cloaks are the heavy cavalry and they're pushing up. And I've done it because in this game, if you wheel and charge, you get disordered. So you really want to charge straight. So I've lined it up in such a way that you can charge the medium cavalry on the far left. I'm hoping they do at least a disorder. Maybe a casualty as well would be a real bonus. So then he wouldn't get the charge bonus against my heavy cavalry. My heavy cavalry would be fresh with the general as well. And hopefully they can win that battle. My javelin guys have done disorder on his skirmishers, but I'm lucky not to kill them. And they've thrown, I think is there a block on my heavy cavalry? I'm not sure if the skirmisher's got a shot off on the heavy cav. But they're only getting 1 dice, because it's -1 on shooting short range. There's no point blank range anymore. So the light stuff has been a little bit nerfed, because you used to want to run up, get plus a couple of dice. So if you're throwing 4 dice, almost bound to hit. Now you're throwing 1. So, sorry about that. That's the situation on the left flank. Okay, and this is Marcos has won the roll again, and my opponent will be playing first. I like the random initiative in this game. you get that chance of getting 2 turns in a row, and it just gives a little bit more uncertainty. Yeah, and I should have taken a photograph, and possibly that's why my son took a picture of those light cavalry, because I was in a situation where I thought the guys you can see with the wheeling gauge in front of them were going to come forward and put javelins into my light cav if I stayed where I was. I could have gone backwards a bit. What had happened was he charged me and I'd evaded back, so I was in an awkward between places. So what I decided to do was do the counter charge and hope I got enough overrun that I would get outside the shooting arc of his javelins. He evaded. I thought I got outside the arc, but of course you can wheel and shoot, so they're going to take some shooting from the javelins. The good news is that it is taking that unit away from where the main fight is going to be, so it's a high price to pay, but it does have some benefit. Okay, so they've wheeled round, they've shot, and I've got lucky with my cohesion roll, and they've just taken a disorder. And the unfortunate thing about disorder, though, is that they can no longer evade, so they're set up for the charge from his light cavalry. So nicely done, Roger. Got the disorder, now charges, so he gets the impetus bonus. Not a great deal for light cav. I think they're 4-1, so he's getting 5 dice. I'm 4 disorders, I get 3 dice. So 5 dice against 3 is a pretty good advantage. And my 3 dice, you can see in there, I've done nothing at all. Took a hit. I don't think they were killed, though. I can't see a photograph. I think they hit and ran away a bit. We'll come back to those in a minute anyway. So the other javelin unit is wheeling round to face off against the pikes. But I think they're the ones that haven't got javelins, fortunately. Otherwise he could have stood there shooting every turn at the pike block. But his main pike block, I think, should have come up now, as soon as possible, to get the advantage 2-1 against my pike block. But I guess he's concerned about the elephants. It's a nice, complicated battle. Okay, here's the situation. So he's around the back of my skirmishes, who can be shot, so they're in a very dangerous position. And the pike blocks, sorry, not shot, but charged. I don't think they get an evade, because it's not frontal. My pike blocks facing off against them. And if the pike blocks do decide to advance and take them on, the other pike block's not that far away. They'll be in there, be charging in soon. And don't forget, my strategy is to win on the left and left of centre where the elephants are, and the cavalry sweeping round. And I just want this pike block to stay as long as they can. So I was even thinking about moving them backwards, just keep them out of the fighting. They're just there to block that flank. So he's looked at that charge. Not much choice but to go for it, really. Otherwise I'm going to charge with my cavalry, and I might even be able to get 2-1. So they go in. This disadvantage is not really knowing my list very well, because I'm medium cavalry, only BDU 4, I think. So not throwing many dice back. And he's hit with the full 6+2 charging, 8 dice. Okay, so we can go to the cavalry. You see my 4 dice there. I haven't done anything. But luckily I rolled low on the cohesion test as well. I only took 1 wound. That's the red counter you can see. Obviously disordered as well. And they're going to go retreating. And Rogers, that's why I realised you've got to get into the swing of things with impetus. Things can happen very quickly. Because now the cavalry, Rogers' cavalry that won the melee, can do a follow-up charge immediately, a pursuit, and the pursuit will take them straight into my heavy cavalry, and he'll get the charge bonus and is still fresh. So at the same speed, so we need to roll 4, 5, 6 to get the pursuit into the heavy cavalry, and rolls a 3. So that saved them. So now they're sitting there with my heavy cavalry with the charge. If only the medium cav could have just done a disorder or something, that'd been a nice advantage, but still get the charge bonus, and that could have been a lot worse. Okay, so quickly the overall view, you can see on the left-hand side, cavalry facing off. My light infantry in the middle now look in a great spot. I know the temptation is to always use the rough terrain for your light stuff, but they're there now. They've got that heavy infantry isolated, and they can chuck stuff at it. And the things coming into support, the elephants pushed up to take those on. The pike block is not far away. I think I've got some skirmishes in there throwing. And the ones by the wood have moved up, just to try and harass and get out the way of his light infantry that were about to flank charge them. Or I suppose I could have come this way. I'm naively hoping that light infantry could hold up the pike block. I think what I should have done is rush into that wood. Yeah, and then he could have done that then, because the pike wouldn't attack them into the wood, and they could have kept trying to throw stuff and have a zone of control perhaps. Yeah, I didn't do that very well. Okay, so I've lost the initiative again. And again, I have to go second. Yeah, so remember the details of the light cavalry fight now. I got hit, but rolled very low on the cohesion test, and just took 1 casualty for being disordered. So it got down to 3, as you can see. Roger also passed his cohesion test and just took a disorder, which had a yellow block you see at the back there. So that was a push, and they have to fight another round of combat. So the skirmishers interpenetrate the heavy infantry, as they are allowed to do. Looking at it, I think that's actually his light infantry as well, and the heavies have got the nice shields, the hoplites. Anyway, it's the same effect really, there's 2 units there. Terrain's not, there's no terrain, so it doesn't make a lot of difference. The skirmishers are come running out to try with their 1 dice to do a hit on one of my units, because I've got 2 to 1 there. And the elephant's going to take on the spears, that's right. Right, you can see that we made a bit of a mistake there, because my elephant, as you can see, is going out to 5. It's taken a hit. Yeah, just 1 hit, and I rolled a 6 in the flame of cohesion test. But I think there's an extra penalty because it was shot by skirmishes, I believe. So I think we missed something there. I'm not sure how crucial that would have been. Anyway, the infantry, the hoplites have charged in, hit the light infantry, done disorder on those. They might have already been disordered from the skirmishers shooting. You can see where the skirmishers are. So I get another great roll on the cohesion test and just take 1 for disorder, go down to 3, but they win the combat. Not such luck for my opponent on the cohesion test, and they're going back. I've now got the elephant there, it's disordered, but that's still 4 dice. And also I'm throwing javelins all the time. I might even get a double turn. So this position is starting to look much better. So with the interpenetration rules and impetus, pretty much the same. The light infantry, they push up so that they can do their attacks, and the skirmishers just interpenetrate backwards. Although as we found out since the game, and since recording the last game, that light skirmishers do not take a hit or get disordered if they're pushed back by the parent unit like this. We got that wrong in the last game. But anyway, they're coming through. Right, I think we've actually jumped over to my turn now, and my guys with the javelins, I think only threw 2 dice and got 2 5s, double 5s a hit, and did some damage with a rough cohesion test. Right, over to the cavalry, and I had a choice here. I thought after I noticed that I could have done my cavalry on the left, the medium cav first, and it was only 3 dice. But I was afraid if they hit, they might actually lose. And I'd be destroyed, which wouldn't be good. They're also disordered, I must add that. What I was thinking was, if I think my thinking was wrong here. My plan was do the heavy cavalry first. If I do the heavy cavalry first and they lose, and he pursues, he could hit them while they're 3 disordered. So I'd be getting 2 dice and a good chance of being destroyed. So I actually activated those first and got rid of the disorder. So not quite sure it was the best thing to do or not. Anyway, the heavy cavalry went in, rolled a couple of 6s, which was great, but then I got a couple of hits come back, and on my cohesion test I rolled a 6. So even with the general given a +1, I've managed to somehow contrive to lose that melee, and I think Roger's cavalry's only disordered. So he's used the free pivot to face and charge forward, and has actually managed to hit the medium cav on the left. So as it turned out, I think rallying off that disorder was probably a wise move. I might have saved them. And sure enough, the 3 dice got me 2 6s, which is great. And so my heavy cavalry got thumped, and then the wounded medium cavalry do a lot better. And I think they actually won the melee. I'll come back to that in a second. So Rogers looked at the odds here, and these are the light infantry, like I said, that don't have javelins. They can't stand there shooting. And they've run in and have a go. Why not? You also start chipping away at that pike block. And you can see on the far right is light cav and the light infantry. They're out of the game, but they are destroying my light cav if they haven't done so already. See my skirmishes, I parked them in front of the pike block. Obviously they should have run off into the wood, would have been much more useful. I could have kept on picking away at him then. Okay, so my pike block, look at that. 6 dice. 4 plus 2 for the extra rank is 6. No hits at all. But I rolled one that you can see at the bottom for my cohesion, so it's just a disorder. As you can see on the far left, it's actually a push with the medium cavalry. They managed to draw that melee with that roll of 1 on their cohesion test, which does open up the charge for my heavy cavalry on my activation, which would have been a very good time to remember my ace in the hole and get their charge bonus and 2 extra dice, but there you go. The centre's pushing up, as you're aware. The pike block, Roger's pike block, are starting to come into the game now. They've got their eye on my pike block, I'm sure. And there's the push at the bottom with the pike block against those very nasty romp for you guys. Roger's talking about getting a unit of those painted up, should look great. And so those javelins are a bit nastier than they look at the moment. Yeah, so the medium cavalry didn't actually win the melee, and they're still stuck in combat. So what I can do now is the heavy cavalry can charge in, and they will be the main unit for the battle. So they'll get all their dice, and the other ones are 3 swords 2 to get 1 extra dice for the medium cav. I was tempted to do the medium cav first, try and get a hit, then win with the heavy cav. With the medium cav probably be destroyed. So this way I save the medium cav and hopefully get an advantage in the melee as well. Like I said, this would have been the time to remember to add on the impetus bonus and get an extra 2 dice. And luckily for me, forgetting the ace didn't count, as it did enough damage to destroy those cavalry and rolled a nice low number on the cohesion test, not to be destroyed themselves, and they haven't followed up. Which frees up the light infantry, and as read it, the rallying off a disorder counts as a move. So being javelin armed, they can do that and throw their javelins as well. That's what it seems in the rules. So the unit on the right gets to remove its disorder and throw javelins. The unit on the left will wheel round and throw its javelins. You see there, I've tried to set up in such a way that if I get the go first, I can throw loads of javelins and pick my charging targets, because the unit at the top is almost out. You can't see the casualties on it from here. And both these units are actually quite damaged now. And I'm throwing javelins, and I've got the elephants coming in. And meanwhile, the pike block and the elephant pass each other like ships in the night. So you activate this combat again, and I throw 5 dice and nothing at all. This is becoming a disaster down here. So I've rolled my cohesion test of 3, not too bad. So I'm 4. Disorder 3, took a hit 2, so I've taken 1 actual casualty, done nothing back and lost the combat, which means I retreat, which in a way I'm thinking is the best result because it gets me further from his pike block. So going back 1 is actually quite good, especially if he fails to follow up. And luckily for me, he didn't get the follow up. So they live to fight another day, or a chance to get rid of that disorder marker anyway. So that worked out probably as well as it could have done. Although I would have liked to have done damage to him. But if you think about it, if I'd actually won the melee, or stuck, stayed there and done equal damages each kind of thing, I think I was still just outside the pike block's charge range, but much closer to it. So this might have been the best result. Although I would like to see some damage on those, because they're going to come in with 8 dice every time. Okay, look at the overall. You can see my cavalry on the left, now with an open field, but nothing to destroy. Infantry massing 2 to 1 there. The elephant coming through in the centre. My pike block slowly retreating away. And I think this about now my light cavalry got killed in the bottom right hand corner. But at least they've taken 2 or 3 units, or 3 units really, out of the game. Oh yeah, interesting one here. So we both rolled 8. So there's a reroll. And then we really wanted to go first because of all those charges I got lined up on the left. We re-rolled again. I got 9, beats 4. Roger decided to use his 1 re-roll per game to try and beat the 9. Got a 3. So I get to go first, which is very helpful in this situation. Yeah, this is quite an interesting situation, which worked out quite nicely. I've got the 2 guys with both armed, javelin armed there, with that unit at the top, which is already quite damaged. So I was thinking about the guys in the middle, throw their javelins at them first, and do their move or whatever, but the problem is if they wheel, they're going to block the other units, and they can't charge because they're in the zone of control of the hoplites. So I have to go with the left hand unit first. So the plan is they throw their javelins, charge in, and hopefully break them. So they've gone in. I can't remember if the javelin did any damage, but the melee, we've both taken a hit, but I actually won the melee. I think maybe by disorder loss rather than a real loss, which pushed his infantry back, pushed the skirmishes back, which helped him pick, so got them further away from my guys. And what that allowed me to do then is the other javelin unit could throw its javelins get the last wound that was needed to destroy them, and then move. So I hope we're playing this right, that you can move and shoot with the javelins, because I use that a lot. And now they're lined up to go and help the elephant. If the elephant becomes a push, which it probably will be, then they can charge in next turn, reactivate, and the elephant will be the main unit. Because the thing to remember in Impetus, you can see my unit at the top left has got 2 left on it, and the javelins in the middle got 3 left on them. They're better used as supporting units to reactivate, because they will not be taking casualties. So they're in a good spot there to help polish off those hoplites. There you see the pike block. I use my turn, you see the green dice, to rally off the disorder. And in he comes for another charge again, and his pike block getting nearer. So I've done 2 hits this time with my 3 dice. Actually, no, I think I had 5 dice. Yeah, you can see 2 more down the bottom. 5 dice anyway, so I've done some damage this time. Rolled 1 on the cohesion test, which is a real bonus. Because I've taken off the disorder. Just get disorder, no casualties this turn. Yeah, I got a bit greedy here because I went for the follow-up. So I got to roll my 6 dice. It would be 7 when I'm disordered. I got the hit. I'll try and destroy that unit if I can. I was hoping to get more than 1 hit with 7 dice. Getting testing against a 1. Maybe roll a 5 or 6 and that's it, they're destroyed. But wasn't to be, unfortunately. They're still there. And he's on the left hand side. I'm almost formed into a bit of a column now because the cavalry is trying to turn round to the side to get back into the battle, maybe chase those loose skirmishes. The elephant's in the melee. There's my dice for the elephant. Not happening. Next turn, and then Rogers won this one, gone first. Seemed to miss Rogers' turn a bit there. So the good news is they finally saw off those light infantry. I mean, they come in with a lot of dice, but the problem is that the deep unit makes a big difference because you're always testing against the front rank. And I've got a feeling I made a mistake and counted against the back rank when I did this cohesion test. Because I wasn't disordered when they went in. So they're 4. Took a hit, makes 3. Roll 4 on a cohesion test, that should be 1 casualty and disordered. I think I made the mistake of seeing that big 3 sitting there and rolled against the 3, which meant it took 2 off. Well, anyway, either way, it was just enough left to keep the back rank. If they lost 3, the back rank would have gone. So the back rank remains, but with only 1. And sure enough, the large pike block hits them, does 1 wound, and they lose the back rank. Now they backed off here, and I know that with the angle, you can see, because they're retreating at an angle, even with the free pivot, the large block can't catch them unless you roll a 6. But roll a 3 anyway, so no follow-up, which could get them out of jail. Oh, and the other thing to remember, of course, because they're disordered, the wheeling and everything becomes more difficult. So anyway, going back to this main battlefield, the elephants got in, 5 disordered, is 4 dice. Who to win that? The unit they're up against is quite battered. And I've also, if it becomes a push, I could ram the other unit into the side and restart the melee. So I'm hoping to break those in 1 turn now. The unit I haven't been able to get hold of is those blinking skirmishes at the top. Yeah, there's the overall situation. I've now got the enemy army down to 1 point off breaking, but I couldn't see any way of getting that 1 point. I've charged the skirmishes at the top, but they've evaded out the way. I'm never going to catch those. Or maybe the cavalry will, but the cavalry are a bit beaten up. It'll take a long time to catch them anyway, if I can. And what I did do with the skirmishes in the wood with a key, and I missed a trick here, I used them to turn and put the javelin into the back of his skirmishes and try to do it by shooting. But you can't shoot other skirmishes. So I tried to line up a charge, but what I should have realised, those skirmishes are going to run for it. And if I'd pushed them up, my skirmishes up through the wood to cut off their escape, you can charge. I could even try to get a flank charge. But skirmishes against skirmishes, you take your chances in a melee, but I'm 2 points off breaking. So even if I'd lost the skirmishes, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. And it would have given my other units a chance to catch up and overrun his skirmishes to win the game. But at the time, I couldn't see any way of getting an extra point. And the pikes at the bottom are not allowed to go backwards because they're disordered. All they can do is remove the disorder and hope for the best. So the idea I came up with at the time was that the skirmishes in the woods turned to put themselves, I think, just in range for a rear or flank charge and other skirmishes. So if I charge with something else and I move the elephants out the way, but then there's a zone of control from the skirmishes, the elephants can't get out the way, so let the cavalry through. The whole thing's like a blinking traffic jam. And I'm hoping if I get to go first, the skirmishes get the jump on those skirmishes, start a melee, even winning. I think I get the extra dice for the flank attack. Good chance of destroying it and winning the game that way. So going first is crucial. So we roll for who goes first. I roll a 5. Roger rolls a 6. I've still got my reroll. No problem. He can beat 6. No, I roll 3. So he gets his last chance to charge in. Well, more importantly, a chance to run away. If I'd have gone first, I could have got the charges off. And those skirmishes were about to evade off the table, which would be enough to win the game. But I didn't go first. So in come the pike block to try and finish off what's left of my pikes. You see I got the green dice. I rallied them. I think the light infantry there have run up and thrown their javelins to try and get a hit. They're out of charge range. So you can see the pikes, maybe I should have got the extra 2 dice. I don't think it made much difference either way. They managed to do a hit. Yeah, on 4, I think I took 2 hits. Down to 2, rolled a 5, lose 3. 6 would have been the unit destroyed. So well, they lost that round of combat. So this time the large pike block do decide to follow up. But even with the free pivot, they're not going to reach. Unless you roll a 6, of course. Then they would have reached. So go to the next turn. I'm desperate to go first because I want to be able to catch one of those units at the top. If I just destroy one of those skirmishes, that's all I need. The game's over. Well, the game will be over at the end of the turn. But if they go first, and they're going to run away, I don't think I can catch them. So sure enough, opponent goes first. Finishes off those. Just need 1 hit. Disordered 1. Don't get anything back at all. 1 dice. Yes, we both looked at the overall situation and realised that there'd be a lot of chasing around to try and end this, and we agreed a draw. It was a great game and we both really enjoyed it. Lots of tactical challenges, some great dice rolls, all the kind of things. Brought back all the great memories of Impetus. Looking forward to lots more games of this. I hope you do as well. Can't recommend it highly enough. The situation we ended up in did make us think of a possible addition we'll use for our games, or if we run a tournament, which I think they're doing, is that each side places an objective at within their own half of the table, and not using any terrains. It's got to be more than 2H or 1H from a terrain piece or a table edge. It won't have any bonuses, no effect on the rules at all. We love the rules as they are, so you don't want to change anything, because you know if you tweak the rules, you change one thing, you get unintended consequences and change a load of things. But what this would do, a little bit of focus to where you deploy. You have to bear in mind the one you're trying to take, or the one you're trying to defend at least. And also, I like the situation we ended up in there, that extra 2 points to break the enemy could make all the difference to bring the game to conclusion, which is something we're looking to encourage, and we've got point system put together for that. More on that soon. And in the meantime, a slight interruption for a game of To the Strongest next week. We're doing this because we need to get our army lists in for next month's big tournament, the World Championships. I'll put a link on the description so you can have a look into that. Maybe there's still a chance to enter if you're interested. So we'll be having a game on that to sharpen up our armies and get ready for the tournament, which I will also be reporting from. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please leave some comments. I'd love to get some feedback, find out what people are thinking, and until the next time, keep rolling.